It's a real privilege to be hosting John Githongo today, and I think it's a really opportune moment for John to be speaking to all of us. I'll just give you a quick biography of John, because when I was reading it, I was pretty awestruck, John. John is the CEO of Inuka, an NGO involved in governance issues, broadly defined, with an emphasis on working with and for ordinary Kenyans, youth in particular. In doing this, Inuka is guided by the principles of Heshima, which is respect, diversity, celebrating the depth and wealth of Kenya's cultural diversity, and Sisi, it is us, for it is Kenyans who own and will ultimately resolve even the most seemingly intractable of their problems. John is also the chairman of the Africa Institute for Governing with Integrity, executive vice chair of the Mathari Youth Sports Association, MYSA, board member of the Africa Center for Open Governance, AFRICOG, a commissioner of the Independent Commission on Aid Impact of the British government. Previously, he served as vice president of World Vision, senior associate member, St. Anthony's College, Oxford, permanent secretary in the office of the president in charge of governance and ethics of the Kenya government, board member, Transparency International, Berlin, CEO, Transparency International, Kenya, board member of the Kenya Human Rights Commission. In the past, he's been a columnist for the East African, associate editor of Executive Magazine, correspondent for The Economist. In 2004, the German president awarded him the German Africa Prize for Leadership. In 2011, he was selected as one of the world's 100 most influential Africans by New African magazine, and one of the world's top 100 global thinkers by Foreign Policy magazine. In 2012, he was shortlisted alongside US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for the prestigious Tipperary International Peace Award. John is also a senior advisor to the Office of the President of South Sudan on governance, holds an honors degree in economics and philosophy from the University of Wales, and an honorary doctorate from the Open University. But that doesn't say it all. There is a lot more than that. And I've got to just share a couple of anecdotes of mine. I met, John came to my office earlier this week, and you know, when you're trading, you tend to be very anal retentive, and he was there, and I didn't want to let him go 2 hours later, because he completely mesmerized me with his thinking and his understanding about what's going on. And if he was trading African politics, he would be the best trader I can think of, because his knowledge is so deep and his understanding is so unique. Conversation like that with one person where I've learned so much in such a short space of time. It's a privilege to have known John. We once met on the road near my office a few years ago, if you remember, outside the old Nairobi casino, and we've spent a lot of time together, and I'm really privileged to have John here today. I think, you know, and John's going to tell us about it. We're at it, I think it's a tipping point for the country, and we can tip in the right way, we can take off, and we're going to look back at this time and say to ourselves, wow, look what we did. Or I suppose it can go the other way. And I want John to tell us about how we can get it right, and how we can increase prosperity, and how we can lift this country to the potential that we all know it has. So John, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ali Khan. I thought you wouldn't mention meeting outside the casino, but it's now out. Good morning, everyone. The election that we are going into on the 4th of March is the most complex and complicated in Kenyan history. It's going to lead to what I have read is going to be the most expensive governance system per head in the world. The other key issue is that this is going to be a close election. We just had a poll that came out yesterday, and it seems to be getting tighter and tighter between the two leading groups of parties. And it seems as if it may be that neither frontrunner is going to achieve the 50+1 majority in the first round. And nobody wins if there's a close election and you decide not to vote. So by not voting, you're actually making a choice. It's estimated that around 30% of all registered voters are expected not to vote in this election. Keep in mind, about 12% of the 14 million people who've registered to vote are middle class. Now, one of the surprising things about voter turnout in Kenya over the years since 1992 is that, one would expect, because of the difficulties and the challenges that are incumbent in areas like Northeastern Province and Coast, that you'd have low voter turnout in those areas anyway. So voter turnout in Coast and Northeastern has traditionally been quite low, sometimes below 50%. But the other area which has lowest turnout is Nairobi. And it's many of us. Now, if you've come for Mindspeak, sorry, Ali Khan, I assume you're middle class. African Development Bank defines middle class as anyone earning over $2 a day. Now, I don't think that's entirely fair. I think most people who come for Mindspeak are earning much more than that. But what's clear is that one group that often opts out of elections is us, the middle class. I like to call it the middle class tribe in Kenya. And the cost of opting out this time is going to be extremely expensive because we have a close election. We saw what happened with the close election last time. And so swing vote is about, number one, vote. If you're registered, vote. Just go out and make sure you vote. It's in your interest. And by voting, you're voting for a functioning government. That's what we want after this election, just to be able to continue with our lives. We came close. We had a glimpse in 2008 of what a meltdown would look like. So by voting, you're voting for functioning government. And the outcome is going to affect all of us in a very, very personal way. If you sit this one out, stay at home, this is the scenario. We all lose out. We'll have the elections and a runoff. And this has multiple scenarios that can take us into the middle of May, and political uncertainties that will continue to mount, and contradictions that can lead to all kinds of difficulties that will challenge us economically and socially as well. However, our vote, each person's vote, is a vote for security, for stability and peace, which we all want. It doesn't matter which Kabila you're from, it doesn't matter which party you support, but a vote is really a vote for security, stability, and peace. And so we can actually go through this process fairly smoothly. If we have turnout is going to be key to this election, and that is becoming, as I said, clearer with every passing day. Join us in the discussion. I'm going to leave this page up there. We have the Facebook page, we have the hashtag for Twitter, and the website that should be coming soon. And encourage all around you, family and friends, to vote. I'm adding something else for the middle class. This time, let's also be monitors of the election. When you vote this time, you should not fold the ballot like that, because apparently the ink runs and it may lead to a spoiled vote. So you should fold the ballot like this. Just showing my lack of education in terms of what is horizontal and what is vertical. But so we're learning these things, and we're going to populate these sites with this kind of information. But these are things that we should all watch for when we go into that polling station. Plus the normal things that we're used to and sometimes take for granted in Kenya, of intimidation, corruption, etc. And feel free to feed it to this site, to the IEBC, to organizations like the LSK and others who will be monitoring the election. So this time All of us have a stake. All of us should be monitors. I think that I will not be exaggerating when I would say that the result of this election is going to be unambiguous. We Kenyans are experts at, I say, at muddling through, making it through. You're just barely sort of dodging a difficult situation. I don't think we have the option this time. The result is going to be unambiguous. It'll either go very well or go very wrong. And I think it's up to all of us to do our bit to make sure that it goes well. And I think Kenyans have what it takes. There's a major transition that's underway, and this is the wrong metaphor, because it's one of the really unfortunate and criminal things that's happening in this country right now is the number of elephants that are being poached and ivory that is being exported. But zamani zakale, elephant hunters, you would use poison bows and arrows, and the hunter would lie on his back and pull, because a big bow, and stretch it out with his feet and shoot the arrow, and it would hit the elephant. And the poison sometimes would take a day or two to have an effect. And the elephant would, as the poison takes effect, is knocking down entire trees, is trampling on bushes, is doing quite a bit of damage to flora and fauna as life escapes it. And I think that's the kind of situation we are in now. There's an old order in Kenya that's dying. And we are seeing that in real terms. There are individuals who have been in our politics since the 1950s, and, well, they are dying. You know, we're burying them. And we've seen that. So attrition, that's natural attrition. But more importantly, the entire families and names and groups in our elite that are being disassembled by the new constitution that we passed in 2010. And of course, they're resisting it. So it's like that elephant. A lot of trees are being bumped and they're falling. And we just have to make sure that we're not under that elephant when it lands. But it's really very much up to us. We have a huge amount going for us. Kenya, I think, is on the verge of an extraordinary takeoff. And that takeoff is based really on us, the people. Kenya doesn't have, well, we've now discovered oil, but Kenya's primary resource is its people, our primary asset. Not only that, but 78.4% of our people are below the age of 34. They're young and energetic, innovative, enterprising, but we saw in 2008 also increasingly belligerent, increasingly intolerant of being lied to and being conned. And we saw this during the nomination processes that we saw recently, where it was difficult for leaders to impose their friends and their colleagues on the electorate. Young people said no. And so there's a much bigger change happening in our society that we are part of and that we should consolidate. As I said, we have 12% of our 14 million voters are middle class, and then I think that's the swing vote. It's us. What the choices we make are going to determine our future for our generation.